And then I heard a funny that's part of this land that nobody wanted because the outlaws buried their dead bodies up there.
Really? Oh my gosh. Well, if you ever go there again, go in the summer, and now it's not an opportune, ideal time. It's, however, England has used a musical called Texas, and like the kids said, West Texas College. It's about the history.
Good afternoon and welcome to another Thursday Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club lunch. Please continue eating in just a few minutes, but before we're going to have Dr. Bill Labar. He has a prayer request, but also he's going to join lead us in prayer today.
Prayer request is for Rosa of the flag program with the Scouts. I understand that she's having some kind of surgery. Don't want to ask too many questions when you get a situation like that. Just lift her up in your prayer. Would you join me in the spirit of prayer? Eternal God, we give you thanks for the blessings of this day. It's been cool and pleasant for the past few days, and we are rejoicing in it after our arduous ordeal this summer in the heat. We give you thanks for it. We would appreciate a little rain, but we give you thanks for what we have. We ask your spirit to be upon us to bless the work of this club as we look forward to our last flag event in about a month. We ask your spirit to bless this food, to take it to the nourishment of our bodies, and to keep us this day in your peace. In the name of the Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Bill Labar. And now we have Ryan lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me, place your hand over your heart, and repeat our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we can't have a meeting of change here without having his blessing of a song. So this is the only time we get to sing some of us.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but I'll invite you guys to sing "God Bless America" with me. What? Okay, hey, I'm game for that because I've been enjoying some good baseball. So take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back for its root. Root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Thanks, everybody.
You can edit that to say what? Rangers, okay. I don't follow too much baseball, but I hear there's something going on that there might be a chance that both teams are gonna face off. They are already, okay. Well, looking forward to that.
Oh boy, it's all good as shades.
It's all good as shades to watch the game?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys, for being here. We're excited. We have some awesome guests visiting today. And for that, we actually have our very own John Van Buren helping us with the introduction. Give him the mic here real quick.
Well, it is not necessary. I am your very own. Our speaker, Shirley, will be introduced later, but Justin Francisco is here as a guest. Stand up, Justin, if you'd like to say anything. And Michael, I'll let you, General Michael Curtin is here. And he's going to introduce his squad. Or maybe Jim Klein will introduce his squad.
All right. Yeah, we have a camera here for the people online to see it.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon. Lieutenant Colonel Michael Curtin. I've been promoted to general twice. One of the teachers at the school thinks I'm a general, so I'd like to thank that.
Let him think.
Oh, yes, sir. So I have 2 great cadets. We bring our cadets in the month. So we have 2 cadets of last month. Cadet, I'll let them introduce themselves to who they are and what they're doing.
All right.
I'm Cadet Ashworth. Cadet Second Lieutenant Ashworth. I'm the administrative officer for the Marine Corps JOTC at Irving High. And
You got it. You got it.
She just found out.
Oh, congratulations.
I'm Cadet Coy.
That's it.
All right.
All right. Well, and I would say a little bit more about her. She ran the 5K last weekend. I know. Tell her. Well, I want to welcome you guys. I myself, I was a cadet JROTC student at Irving High School, so I went through the same steps that you guys went through. I couldn't even speak English whenever, so you know, so I hear your pain there. So, but it, you know, with time and as you do and get engaged with the community and start to come to events like this and really get involved through volunteering, you get to see that studying in public is not as frightful. So I commend you for being here, guys, and I look forward to hearing good things from the ROTC program that you guys are doing. And Jim, I believe you had a little report. You said there might be another school joining the
attendance program. We're gonna try to get them to come in on the 30th. So the next time we have the students will be on November 30th. Yep, so that'd be great. So look forward to it. Hopefully get all the schools back involved and we'll take it one step at a time.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for being here, guys. And, you know, before COVID, I wasn't here on the part of the Rotary Club, but I believe that there was a good relationship with all the ROTC programs in Irving, and that's something that as a club we're trying to bring back. Again, myself, growing up, the ROTC program was where I went after school because that's where we got fed, that's where we got leadership training, that's where we got, you know, trips. We used to, I went to Florida, Daytona for a military competition with the drill team. It's how I got to travel to high school with the ROTC program. So, and how many cadets do you guys have in the program this year?
A little over 150.
Okay,
Wow.
about 150 kids that are part of that. And again, those are kids that are getting that training that they wouldn't get any other place from the instructors, but also the life experience that they have. So as we find out what some of the needs are, we'll see how we can work together to get you guys back and running, you know, how things were before COVID. So with that said, we do have a program today. We have one of our fellow Rotarians, Shirley, again, I'm from El Salvador. Sometimes the words are hard to pronounce, but she's the co-founder of the cause-based suicide prevention brain and health Rotary Club, and she's going to be talking to us today about a couple of different topics. But I just wanted to read a little bit about her so you guys get to know her. But Shirley, she is a graduate of Harris Junior College and Texas A&M Commerce. Is a community liaison and mental brain health and suicide prevention awareness advocate. After she and her husband Brad lost their only child Matthew, age 22, to suicide in 2014, she began the search for the why of suicide and now collaborates with multiple organizations and individuals to promote mental health, prevent suicide, and support those that have lost someone to suicide. So thank you for all you do, and we're looking forward to learning more about your cause and how we can support your cause as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for the invitation to be here today. I'm so glad to be here, and so glad to see Max too and John. They were so key in us being able to even form our Rotary Club. Max was district governor when we had our charter celebration in July of 2021 in the middle of COVID. So, and we started with 49 members, 47 of which had never been in Rotary before. So we were all Rotary rookies. So, Sam. So the presentation will come up in a minute here.
There it is.
There we go. All right, so we usually entitle this "Let's Talk Suicide Prevention and Brain Health" because it's really important for us to be able to talk to get rid of the stigma. Oh, you might have to click on first. Okay, as you all know, our current Rotary International President, Gordon McNally, has really made a focus for this year on mental brain health, suicide prevention, and elimination of stigma, creating hope in the world, especially after losing his brother Ian to suicide. Met him at our Pets our organization meeting and had a chance to talk with him a little bit about that. Our club, of course, is a cause-based e-club, which means we meet over Zoom on the second and fourth Monday evening of every month at 7 p.m. Central Time. You're welcome to visit us. You don't have to dress up or drive anywhere. You can wear your PJs if you want to. We just see you from the shoulder up. So we have lots of really great presentations, and our cause is to promote collaboration, advocacy and awareness, understanding, support, education, encouragement, and elimination of stigma surrounding suicide prevention, post-vention, brain, mental health, and wellness in all forms. We say across the world because our goal is to have members in all 50 states and in different parts of the world. We're just starting. So we have members now in 4 states. And I would share that one of the reasons I'm involved now in this is we lost our son Matthew to suicide in 2014. As a note, we were involved in all sorts of things and in scouts and different types of activities at school, but nobody ever talked about suicide prevention or mental health or what to do. And so to me, this is a way I can help continue Matthew's legacy, just in a different way. And as a note, for anyone who has lost one child, regardless of whether it's through suicide or some other cause, your child, as a mother, your child's stem cells are still in your body. So your kiddo is still with you physically, even if they're just still in your heart too. I always like to share the suicide and crisis life information. Last year in July, the number 988 became available. You don't have to remember that long 10-digit number anymore. You just need to remember 988. And if you're a veteran, you can dial 1 to go to the veteran crisis line. And if you feel more comfortable speaking Spanish, you can dial 2. So I always share this information at the beginning so that if you need it, you have it available. Just as a note, when you dial that number, you wonder what happens. So what happens is that it's based upon your area code of your phone number. So if your phone is from Kentucky or some other place, that's where the phone is going to go to. That's the center that's going to answer the call. So I just wanted to let you be aware of that. And if there's no one available to answer, then it goes to the main center in New York. Some key concepts are that mental health is brain health, which is physical health. That's how we get rid of the stigma. And it includes wellness and self-care. It's important to set aside any assumptions that we have about mental health and suicide. And lots of episodes can be de-escalated if we have the proper training. So our lifestyles, life events, developmental stages, all those things can affect the chemistry in our body. It's important to understand what a mental or brain health condition is and what it does. It affects a person's or emotional state of behavior. It disrupts the person's ability to work, carry out daily activities, and engage in satisfying relationships. And a lot of times you may have more than one condition at a time. And a lot of people don't realize it, but eating disorders are the mental health condition with the highest mortality rate, even though we don't talk about it that much. Since I'm a medical imaging person in background, I always have to show medical imaging. So this is sort of what our brain looks like with different types of conditions, the activity in the brain and how it's different. It's important for us to understand what's going on in the brain. Like the brain, I consider is the final frontier, sort of like a Star Trek thing, which I am a Trekkie. So it's important for us to really think about that and what goes on chemically in our lives, what we can do. Suicide is a complex global issue. Over 800,000 people die by suicide in the world every year. And they die due to a combination of internal and external factors and stressors, which generate chemical interactions in our bodies, which exceed the current coping skills of an individual. There's no single cause. It's influenced by our sleep, our diet, exercise, how we deal with stress, feelings of isolation, our age with our development, all those different things. It's like having a brain attack as opposed to a heart attack. You can have, you can do whatever you can to help prevent a heart attack. Sometimes it happens. And similarly to the brain, we do what we can to prevent that brain attack. And sometimes it still happens, but we try. We talk and we learn. So most people that are having thoughts of suicide really are ambivalent about ending their lives. They really want to stay here. They just need someone to talk to and to understand. And suicidal feelings are often temporary. And we found that if you put time and distance between a suicidal person and lethal means, you can save their life. And I never thought I'd be showing a picture of my son at the ballpark at Arlington. I know that's not the official name anymore. But to represent how many people die by suicide every year in the US. So if you fill the ballpark, that's about how many people die each year in the US by suicide. Here in Texas, we have around 4,100 people that die each year by suicide. That's the size of Farmersville. So if all of the citizens in Farmersville were put together, that's how many people in Texas die by suicide each year. Areas or groups that are at higher risk are the LGBTQ community or minority groups, those that live in rural areas. Our veterans are at higher risk of suicide. And those that are retirees actually are at higher risk of suicide because they no longer have that sense of identity related to their jobs. And sometimes they don't have that social network that they had before. I tell people that joining Rotary is really good for your mental health. So anytime there's some sort of retirement thing going on in the business, you should have Rotarians there saying, hey, we want to help you with your mental health, and have them join Rotary. So it's estimated that for every death by suicide, 25 others attempt. So really over 1.7 million attempt suicide every year in the US. It's now actually the 11th leading cause of death in the US. It was the 10th leading cause until COVID came along. And also there's the second leading cause of death, ages 10 through 34. And yes, 10-year-olds do die by suicide. One of our members is a school counselor, and she tells me that there are 7, 8, and 9-year-olds that come to her office thinking about suicide. So it's really important for us to be able to talk to the young people and know where we can get help. There are a lot of barriers to care and talking. There's lack of training, even with our first responders. There's lack of training. As I mentioned, I worked at Weddle for over 15 years, and there was never any training for suicide prevention at the place that I worked. And I thought I was pretty involved in things. So it's important for us to offer training to people. We offer that through our Rotary Club, by the way, and we've been really happy about being able to do that. There's not enough mental health professionals. According to Mental Health America, Texas is last out of all the states in the number of mental health professionals available per capita. Last. We're working on that, but we're still last. It'll take a while. There's still a lot of stigma surrounding mental health and suicide. A lot of that comes from like years ago when people didn't understand what was going on. Someone might have an episode, you didn't know how to treat it or how to help someone. So sometimes people are afraid of what they don't understand, and they come up with different types of explanations. And so we're learning more and more now. So that's a whole nother discussion in itself if you ever want to talk about that, the history of the stigma. There's a lot of concern about negative impact on employment or veteran gun ownership. And there's a lack of transportation, especially in our rural areas. And also there's a lot of veterans that still want to use their flip phone, so they really can't use the telehealth, that sort of thing. And so those are things we need to be aware of and look at what we can do something about. We need to focus on facts and science instead of fear and misinformation. Listen non-judgmentally. Remember what's important to one person may not be important to you, but that's important to them. So we want to really respect what they're feeling and talk to them. You want to get rid of the myths and assumptions regarding suicide. It's an assumption or a myth that talking about suicide will lead to and encourage. That's true. That's false. That's false. Asking the question, are you thinking about suicide, actually gives someone the freedom to talk about it. It's like, it's okay to talk about this. And it just opens a whole nother area of conversation and ability to get that person some help. How we talk about it matters. This is a really important thing. This is something we can all do. Instead of saying commit suicide, which has a negative connotation, it's not a crime, we say die by suicide. And also we don't say that they have a successful attempt or completed suicide because that means they died. So we don't want to say it that way. And a failed attempt means they lived. So we want to look at the language that we use. And especially if you've lost someone to suicide, that really makes a difference to us too. This is something we can do. You're going to mess up. You're going to say the wrong words or whatever, but that's okay. It takes time to get used to that. And people live with the mental health condition. They are not the mental health condition. Just as a note, I talk about neuroplasticity. It used to be that people thought once you hit 45, it's all downhill from there in regards to your brain, but that is not true. Just like with your bodies, you can work out your brains, exercise your brains like you exercise your bodies, and they can get better as you get older. It's kind of a newer concept within the last 20 years, but we can do it. There's a lot of research going on. We actually have here in the Irving area one of the Daniel Amen clinics, and they focus a lot on the brain health and what diet, exercise, and all those things do to affect the chemistry in your brain. A lot of times what we see is just what's on the outside of a person. We don't know what's going on inside. We don't know if they've got a challenging family situation or they're having clinical depression or things like that. So it's really important for us to be observant. And I call it being a nice nosy. So not just nosy to be nosy, but a nice nose where you really notice what's going on and help that person be able to recognize that there's an issue. Sometimes you don't recognize it in yourself because it's your brain. So there's risk factors, warning signs, and protective factors related to suicide. The risk factors are characteristics or conditions that can increase the chance that a person will die by suicide. Warning signs are more imminent ones. They're observable signs that signal suicide risk is in the near future. And protective factors can help keep those risk factors from turning into warning signs, and it reduces the risk and promotes well-being. You have handouts on your table that have a lot of the risk factors and warning signs, as well as the 988 number. So I encourage you to take that with you and to make notes and to be aware of that. It opens up a conversation with people too when you're concerned about them. So there's the health risk factors. Like I said, if you're age 25 or below, it's a developmental thing. Your brain is still developing. So that frontal part of your brain where you make decisions is still developing. That's why the insurance companies, charge you more money for your auto insurance. You have more accidents. They may not have understood the science, but they need the statistics behind it. And so also the part of your brain that includes the area that controls impulsivity or fight or flight, that's still developing also. So it's really important to understand that age makes a difference too. If you have some sort of mental health condition and it's not being treated, that makes a difference. And you never want to go cold turkey from any medication you have for a mental health condition. That can really mess up the chemistry in your body and knock it out of balance. There's other conditions. Did you know that depression is actually a symptom of hypothyroidism? So maybe you need to take thyroid medication instead of antidepressants. I met somebody a few months ago who was told that he needed to take antidepressants for 2 years before they figured out it was his thyroid. So now he just takes thyroid medication. So there's lots of things we need to look at. If you play soccer with header balls or football with concussions, all those things affect the brain, what's going on. There's also a thing called neurotransmitters in our body. Remember, we're giant chemistry labs. So I just talk a little bit about those. They affect the behavior, mood, and our ability to concentrate. If they're interrupted, they can cause depression, anxiety, mood swings, aggression, substance use dependency, and all sorts of things. Two of the common ones we hear about are serotonin and dopamine. Dopamine is the one that helps you with your mental focus and concentration. You'll notice here that chocolate is good for you, and the food. I always mention that because that's really important. We're talking about it myself. So you'll notice exercise, all these types of food affect the chemistry in our body. Serotonin kind of helps you chill out a little bit. And you'll notice, again, sunlight makes a difference, sleep, stress reduction, and your diet, salmon, chicken, those types of things, all affect the chemistry in our body. We are what we eat. Historical risk factors include chronic mental health conditions, as we mentioned earlier, childhood abuse, human trafficking, which has been a big focus of Rotary, of course. That is a risk factor for suicide and sexual trauma. Combat stress, cutting, which is non-suicide self-harm, family history of suicide, and moral injury. I don't spend a lot of time on that, but we actually have a presentation on that. It's a sense of injury to your sense of morals, especially for combat veterans when they're having to do things totally opposite of what they were taught. When they were growing up, you don't hurt people, you don't shoot people, but you're having to do that when you're in a military situation. And it's just the opposite of what you think you should do, and it really causes a conflict in your brain. It's important for us to be able to support survivors of suicide loss. And you think, well, what do I do? I mean, I don't know what to say. And you can say, I just don't know what to say, but I'm here for you. That's okay. I don't know what to say, but I'm here for you. And remember, we always do the best we can with what we know at the time. That person that's lost someone to suicide keeps wondering why. And they have difficulty in concentrating sometimes because they're functioning on the front end with that why going on in the back end. And so this shows some patience and grace for folks like that. But remember, you do the best you can with what you know at the time. You don't know what you don't know. We just support each other. You still bring food to them. When we lost Matthew, my husband was a member of the Seat Rotary Club, still is. They brought food and helped support us in so many different ways. And that was very much appreciated. Rotary is really like family. So grieving is not the same for everyone. We just need to understand that. And sometimes people are going to have grief bursts at different times. By the way, we call the date of death their angelversary instead of the day of death. So we call it the angel date, angelversary. As I mentioned, there's no time to say goodbye. There's lack of concentration. You have all those what ifs going on. When you don't know what to do, you just do the next right thing. Environmental factors includes access to legal means like firearms, drugs, bridge. Now they're working on getting those blister packaging for the medication, so people can't take a lot of certain medications at one time. That's something that we can't do. Exposure to another person's suicide, prolonged stress, harassment, bullying, relationship issues, even COVID, stressful life events like divorce, unexpected job loss, all those things can be risk factors. Again, we need to have those conversations to keep those from turning into warning signs. Then we go into protective factors. Protective factors include things like, talking about, helping others, volunteering, expressing gratitude, joining Rotary, as well as other groups. Maybe take a different route to the meetings that you have here that works out your brain. You want to be able to do those types of things. Get mental health care as you need it. You want to have a healthy diet. Usually the Mediterranean diet is good. It depends on your physical condition. Exercise regularly, get sleep, take brain breaks, 3 to 5 minutes, 5 times per day. Work on managing your stress. And you can participate in brain healthy programs at our district training with Max. We actually had someone from the Center for Brain Health, and they talked about the Brain Health Project, which is still available, and we can join for free, by the way. They have their 25th anniversary next year, so we're going to combine with them with our Rotary Club and really promote that. They're looking for 120,000 people to participate over 10 years. They're at 30,000 now. And this is just an example of some stress reduction plans. It can be as simple as using a card, or you can have an official form. And this is one we promote for kiddos, Gizmo's Possum Guide to Mental Health. If you have an Interact Club, this is a great thing to use for your Interact Club. And since, again, we're talking about the brain, I have to throw a diagram up there. So for the functional parts of the brain and what they do. So warning signs are talking about ending their lives, even if it's in a joking manner. Take it seriously. If they express feelings of being a burden to others or lonely, feel they have no reason to live or purpose in life, wanting relief from unbearable pain, which could be emotional or physical pain, feeling trapped in a situation. And a lot of times we don't think about it, but perfectionists are actually at high risk because when they make a mistake, they think it's worse than it actually is. It's like a sense of failure to them. So it's not always obvious, but be aware of all those things. Changes in behavior. Now, if somebody's normally grumpy and then they become grumpy, that's okay. So, but if they're not normally grumpy and they change their behavior, that's something to be able to look at. Like maybe they don't show up, they're not coming to Rotary meetings and they normally are here every time. Or maybe they have a service project and they're always there, they're not. You want to ask questions. Is it that they're maybe having car trouble? Or maybe some other things are going on? Or maybe there's an issue with how they're feeling and all. It's a way to open up that conversation. If they're acting recklessly or impulsively when they normally don't do that, even a change in personal hygiene can make a difference. Giving away prized possessions. Now, if they're downsizing from a larger house to a smaller house, that's a valid reason. But if they're not, then you want to worry about that and have that conversation. Again, changes in mood, and especially with social media now, it's really hard to make a mistake without everybody knowing about it. So you want to be sensitive to that and really be aware of it. So if you observe those warning signs, what do? It's like, okay, now I know the risk factors and warning signs. What do? Like if somebody's having a heart attack, what do? You need to know some CPR for the brain. So first, you have a conversation. You know what your resources are, and you know that you have 988 now. 988, remember that. Remember the perspective of a suicidal person. The crisis point has been reached, and they are desperate to escape unbearable pain, physical, emotional, or both. They have tunnel vision. Their thinking becomes limited. They're not thinking like they normally would. Think about it when you stay up all night and you don't get any sleep. How do you respond the next day? It's not the way you normally would. You're not thinking like you normally would. They're in that state at that time, so they don't recognize that in themselves. So that's why it's important for us to be a nice nosy and to notice those things and to have that conversation. So how do you reach out to keep them safe? First, you talk to them in private. You don't do it in a big group. You express caring and concern. You can say, I noticed that, and you can use that list of those warning signs and risk factors. I noticed that you haven't been coming to the Rotary meetings lately. Or is everything okay? Or you want to talk about that? You can use that list to help start those conversations. Listen non-judgmentally to their story. Use a calm and reassuring manner. Don't minimize their feelings, as I mentioned earlier. It's really hard to avoid trying to fix things, but try to avoid that. Don't try to fix them. Repeat some of their statements to show that you're listening or prompting them to continue. Like, I hear you say that, or are you saying that, and repeat back to them, because sometimes they'll just stop talking. and you're thinking, okay, what do I say next? How do I get the conversation going? That's what you can do, is repeat back some of the things that they mentioned. And you have to ask directly about suicidal thoughts. As I mentioned, it shows it's okay to talk about it and that you care. And it's really hard. I can say the words up here and you can see it written, but when you say it yourself, it's really hard to do. Are you thinking about suicide? Are you thinking about ending your life? And I recommend that you actually use your bathroom mirror and practice it, because it's different. It's like a muscle memory when you say something like this. And it's really hard to say it to someone, but please, please know that it's okay to do it. Say, I'm really concerned about you. Are you thinking about suicide? And they may say, oh no, then it's okay. Then you can follow up with them. But sometimes they'll say yes. And then you wonder, oh, what do I do? So, and one of the things you want to do is not be judgmental. You don't want to say, you're not thinking about suicide, are you? That's like a judgmental type thing. And they're going to say, oh no, because it sounds judgmental. So the person you're talking to, if they do not have suicidal thoughts, but you saw the warning signs, you want to talk openly with the person about it. You say, hey, I went to this class, we talked about this, and there's some examples of things we can do to get help, or at least get some, have some additional conversation. So help them to connect and support persons to talk further about maybe stress reduction plans or protective strategies. Now, what if the answer is yes? And what do? Well, then you ask, do you have a plan? And you may think, well, I don't want to know what the plan is necessarily. What do I do then? The reason you ask is that you may go ahead and get some additional information that you can then share. They're trusting you, so they're sharing information with you. And if you then lead them to someone else, they may not share that same information. So you want to go ahead and ask, do you have a plan? And if they don't have a plan, still do not leave the person alone. And if you've not had any suicide intervention skills training, which we are offering, by the way, in November at the Colinas Care Center, I recommend you call the 988 number and you can talk to them together about guidance, because they have local resources that will be able to help you. And if the person is having suicidal thoughts and does have a plan, that's more imminent. So again, you ask what the plan is and let them describe it. And if you've not had the training, again, calmly talk with them and call the 988 number or escort them to emergency care. You never leave them alone. Stay with them until they're in the care of professional help. Now, if you feel threatened, of course, you can always call 911. Now, we have a lot of resources now in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, crisis teams that are made of mental health professionals that work with our first responders and our police departments. So often that will go to that team first, or the police officers will have access to mental health professionals. So we're working on that across the Metroplex. So remember, we do the best we can with what we know at the time. We can't change the past, but our loved ones can continue to make a difference through our actions now and in the future. I always think about that poem by Linda Ellis, Remember the Dash. Now we have two dates that are really important, our birth date and our death date. I want to remember the dash, remember the lives in between that. So you don't have to be a physician or a neuroscientist or some behavioral health specialist to be able to save a life. You can do it with some of these simple things, 988. And when you matter, you're not alone. And it's important to remember that we're here for you. And our club has numerous resources. I have that list on the table also for you. Our members work with NAMI, Mental Health America, Cohen, Metro Care, Military Veteran Peer Network, Halbert Foundation. All those different groups are members of our Rotary Club. And so we have lots of free resources that are available. We want to make those available to you in your club, in your work, in your church groups, in your faith communities, in your schools. As a note, we can offer mental health first aid to all your schools. Because they're actually, House Bill 3 just came out recently, and they're going to require that training for the schools. And so we can offer that at no cost through the North Texas Behavioral Health Authority, which also we have 2 members from that group. Another list of all the different things that we can talk about. So again, it's important for us to talk. And I really appreciate you letting me be here today. I'm always available for you to be able to support you. We also have support groups for survivors of suicide loss. If you have someone that's lost someone to suicide, we have those in person and via Zoom. So does anyone have any questions? I know it's hard sometimes to actually speak up, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen you speak at districts several times, and you've always been so passionate, and just bringing the awareness to this topic is so important. We lost my ex-husband in 2008, and my children lost their dad. And just as the survivors, teaching them or kind of, trying to get them to understand that they didn't cause it, they couldn't control it, they can't cure it. And, it's really hard, but, for someone who may appear to be considering that, trying to bring them hope and letting them know that they're not alone. I think it's so important. So thank you for bringing awareness.
Thank you so much for sharing. This is something from us. And we're here for you too, if you ever want to talk or your family members want to talk, in a group or individually. Thank you for sharing. Yes.
Yeah, Shirley, Parker University and one of our city councilmen who's also a retired general, Al's Pond, who's in this club, they have a get together for the veterans. And they really focus on that because that number has increased tremendously in the last 10 years and almost yearly. Are you part of that? Do you get to go speak at that, participate?
Yes, we do participate. One of our members is actually part of the Greater Dallas Veterans Foundation. And she also has a project going on too, where they're interviewing veterans, voices of veterans. But we have a big event that's going to be coming up this next year in May in the area. Also, we work with the Military Veteran Peer Network. They're our members also, as well as Calling Metro Care to provide services. So I've been at so many veteran events lately. So I was at the Veterans Business Group yesterday. Also, we are out at the Grand Prairie base talking to veterans out there and their families. So yes, we are trying to reach out with veterans. And you're right, that number does continue to increase. And we feel that that's underreported. I wear my ring, my 22. For remember the 22 veterans that died each day by suicide. We think the numbers are actually higher, but not all states report. So I know we hear about those numbers, but I think there's actually more than that. We are trying to reach out. I also advocated in Austin with the Military Officers Association for legislation to support veterans. So that is a really big focus of our club. And thank you for asking for that. And any connections you have or opportunities, we would really appreciate knowing about.
One other question. I know that Beth Van Dyne is a representative for the district. You're nodding, you know Beth. And then do you know Jake, who is my representative back in Washington? Elsie, he's a veteran, and I think he's very supportive. Do you have interaction with either of those two?
Well,
since
yes.
They're close here?
Beth Van Dyne actually had an event in Irving in August. And so we were there for that event, as well as some members of our Rotary Club. I actually got 2 new members that day, by the way. So I bring the application forms with me just in case they want to fill it out that day. So, but we do connect there, not with the U.S. representative. We have connected with a number of representatives on a national level also. Just as a note, we're actually working with people in counties outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So our club helped sponsor a mental health forum in Greenville recently. We had 140 people show up from 7 counties: Greenville, Lamar, Red River, Hopkins, Fannin, all those. I have to think about all those counties. We're also planning an event in Denton on January 31st to cover those counties around Denton, and especially looking at rural health. So we do reach out to the representatives. For instance, at Farmers Branch, we recently had an event called Cost of Service, and we had Ben Gardner, who's one of the representatives there, as well as the mayor. So we are trying to reach out to all those different representatives to make them aware of what's going on and to let them know we're supporting them too. I know I personally talked to 15 offices when I was advocating in Austin.
So just FYI, Grapevine will be hosting a large get-together. I think it's that November 10th. And if you're interested in attending, I can get you in contact with everybody here knows Elaine Free. So that city does a great job of bringing their veterans and others from the area. It might be a good opportunity that day, and then Irving also has a celebration on, I think Saturday, so we can get you plugged in, your information, so.
Yes,
Thank
please. That'd be great. I appreciate that. And I know that the Irving Sunrise Group with Cindy, with the Unite Our Troops, we participated in that event last year. And so we do appreciate all of that. Yes, please share with us. We also have a potentially new member. I just have to get her to fill out the application with the Veterans Land Board. And she covers everything from basically Hillsborough up north in Texas. And there are lots of really great benefits, by the way, for veterans in Texas. If you're not aware of that, if you ever want to have a program on that, things that I never knew about. I wish I had known about from my family insofar as home loans and horse services for mental health as well. But, you know, remodeling your house, you can, if you have 100% disability, you can stay at one of the state nursing homes for free, as well as your family and some things like that. There's some really wonderful benefits for veterans that people may not be aware of. Thank you for sharing that. I would definitely love to get that. You got my card on the table. So, or I can talk to you personally.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and you mentioned it before, but like the YMCA, we just, for all full-time staff, we are now offering a mental health first aid certification that all of our full-time staff are going through. So it's important for those that are in business and they want to, you know, I think you mentioned something about doing trainings like that, but I think it's really important to also train your staff as well.
Yes, thank you so much for mentioning that. Two of our members are from the North Texas Behavioral Health Authority, and so they have funding to offer mental health first aid for any resident in those 5 county areas. And then we have connections with the other behavioral health authorities also that have funding. So especially for your schools, by the way, Irving School is like A+ in regards to their work insofar as getting mental health first aid out there to the instructors. I learned that when I talked to our representative yesterday. So if your school is not offering mental health first aid yet, please let me know, because you can have it for free. So if you're at your business, we can do that. We also have some shorter versions like QPR, question, persuade, refer. One of our members actually did the training for the counselors at RIVA this past summer for those counselors. That's more like an hour and a half. Mental health first aid runs anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, depending upon if it's for youth or for adults. And applied suicide intervention skills training is the granddaddy of all training, and that's 2 days. And normally it costs $250 per person, but through grants, through Rotary, we're able to offer it at no cost for anyone that wants to attend. And that's going to be over in Addison on November 8th and 9th. And we've had people tell us afterwards that they've used it to save lives. I've taken it and I've used it to save a 4th grader, as well as a veteran and some other folks. It makes a difference. Thank you for sharing that. And if you want new training done in your areas, or you know your school or your business, if you want that, please let me know and I'll connect you so we can do that.
Thank you for sharing your story too. It's very informative. And I was gonna mention that I'm sure that all of us have had, to experience some type of loss due to suicide. So Val, thank you for sharing as well. So and it's important as Rotarians to continue doing the work that we all do as a community. I think there's a lot of different areas from the ROTC programs in the schools, helping the cadets to Laura with the dogs. They provide a lot of help for people. There's a lot of different organizations that we all as Rotarians try to help. So thank you for that. And again, thank you for sharing the different initiatives that we can take to detect if somebody's suffering or going through some type of depression that's going to cause something to happen. I did want to thank our Rotarians that are joining us online, David and Randy. Thank you for being there whenever you're not able to be here. I did want to, I don't know, Jordan, do we have this video? We're already late. Oh, you're right. We're going to say this, but we do have a Rotarian that we're going to recognize next time, so be here. He was on the news for something that he did. And at this time, do we have any other announcements from any club members? Rick, you were raising it?
Thank you, Mr. President. You see, Yeah, you see that bag right there on the phone?
Yep, there's a bag here.
Yeah, last week, the guys from Powell, talked about the event they're gonna have on the 25th. And they're gonna have trick or trunk. And so we were asking, and you should have seen on your email from Mara, that's a bag of candy that we're gonna get together and Donna is gonna take that down. If you'd like to donate next Thursday, the event is the 25th, so we have a week from today. You can always take candy to the PAL, the new location. But that's a starter bag that I brought to help them get started on their trick or trunk event.
So bring candy next meeting. Is that what we're doing?
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, bring all the candy. And with that said, one more.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So just remind our club that we have a social coming up on October 26th at Cielitos.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So instead of the meeting here, because the club's not gonna, it's gonna be closed or they're having a meeting, we're gonna meet at Cielito Lindo, which is of Las Colinas Boulevard and O'Connor, right across the street from Rancho Viso.
Right.
What time?
It'll be 5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 to 7:30.
Yeah.
So mark your calendars and invite a friend too, because it's a fun atmosphere.
Yeah.
With that said, we're gonna, if we can have everybody stand up, we're gonna have Richard Raymond lead us on the four-way test.
Would you please join me in the four-way test? First.
Is it the truth?
Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?